Welcome to Spirit Grooves. My name is Michael Erlewine, and this segment's going to be on meditation and the practice of meditation, two very different things. Learning meditation is first about building a habit, and only later can it be said that we are, quote, meditating, like much later for most of us. Just like scaffolding on a building, meditation practice is just that, practicing meditation, and it's not meditation itself. The practice or habit building part of meditation has to eventually be let go of or removed, leaving some room for the actual meditation itself. In order to learn to meditate, we must first practice the process. It's a little like those molds that form Jell-O that our moms had when we were kids. When the molds are taken away, the form remains. This is sometimes called muscle memory, or just plain habit. So, how do we know when to remove the scaffolding? Luckily for us, meditation is organic enough that the scaffolding just melts away, or we kind of walk out of it. When I used to ask my first Dharma teacher questions like this, he would often respond, quote, "How do you know when you have to go to the bathroom?" End quote. You just know. Few of us probably love rote practice of any kind, but most, or perhaps all of us, love meditating once we learn to do it. Why? Because actual meditation is a clear and luminous state, one that we would much rather stay in rather than fall out of. In beginning meditation, it's almost impossible to get into that state, but later it can be equally impossible to fall out of it. At least that's what I'm told. The problem for me has always been to be able to distinguish the forming from what is formed, the scaffolding from the meditation itself. I tend to become attached to the scaffolding. The great Tibetan meditation masters tell us that not only can we each learn to rest in the natural nature of the mind, but we often do so each day, but we just aren't aware of it. So, meditation then is resting in the mind's nature and being aware of it at the same time. This suggests that what is lacking in learning meditation is not something that we need from the outside, something we have to somehow get or add on, but rather simply what's lacking is an awareness of what is already there. An awareness can become habitual. It follows then that all meditation practice is designed to eventually allow us to wake up or become aware of the nature of the mind itself. In other words, we're never going to get anywhere other than where we already are. But the goal is to somehow become aware of what we now already have. This is just ancient wisdom. We practice meditation until we become aware of what meditation actually is, after which it becomes something that we recognize and can work with. This assumes that we don't know what meditation is, and for most of us that's a fact. Before we can actually manage to meditate, before we learn to meditate, we have no idea of how to become aware of the natural state of the mind that we already experience but are not yet aware of. How do we learn to be aware of something that we are not already aware of? That's a good question. The Buddhist teachers attempt to point out the nature of the mind to whomever will pay attention, and this is even called the pointing out instructions. The nature of the mind is so close to us, so near that we can't get enough distance or perspective on it to see or be aware of it. That is why the first major step in true meditation is called recognition, and it simply means recognizing the true nature of our own mind, like how it works. And recognition is not enlightenment or even anything close to it. However, it is the means through which we can at last make progress on our own and without a teacher. A teacher is just that, a teacher. Once we are taught to recognize the nature of our own mind, we can see for ourselves how to work it. Sure, after recognition, our teacher can then help us further with techniques to more readily work the mind. But essentially, their job is done. So we practice meditation until we achieve recognition of the mind's nature, after which we no longer practice. But instead, we actually begin to meditate, but without the training wheels. Recognizing the mind's true nature, how it works, is the first step on the road to realization, what has been called enlightenment. But recognition is not enlightenment. If we learn a dance step, there's a point where we no longer are learning it, and instead we're just dancing. Meditation practice is like that. It is a practice that hopefully, eventually gives way to a natural awareness of the nature of our own mind. After that, once we have that recognition, we are actually meditating, and we can begin to perfect our meditation. Before that, we're just practicing, and kind of blindly at that. When we practice a musical instrument, we already know what music sounds like. However, when we practice meditation, we have no idea what actual meditation is or feels like. And to make matters worse, most of us have formed our own opinion as to what meditation should be like, and unfortunately, we hold that preconception up as a standard that we're supposed to meet. This is a major obstacle, perhaps even the major obstacle to actual meditation. Here, quote, practicing meditation, unquote, means finding our way in the dark, more or less, until we stumble on or fall into actual meditation and recognize the nature of the mind. One of the scariest teachings I've ever heard is that we have virtually no chance of, as I just suggested above, ever stumbling on the nature of the mind by ourselves. The greatest Buddhist teachers I've seen and listened to have made it crystal clear that we need a guide. We need someone who actually knows the nature of the mind to work with us, to point out to us, if we can get it, the true nature of the mind and just how it works. If we are afraid to seek help, we should change our mind about that and get that help. The meditation practice we do should help us form a mental habit that facilitates actual meditation while not becoming a habit itself. I wrote a little poem about this, which I'll just recite now. It's very short. Practice a habit. Meditation, while not practice, is a habit that can be practiced. Practice builds habits, but should not itself become a habit. In other words, practice to form a habit, but don't make a habit of it, just for fun. I hope you have enjoyed this segment of Spirit Grooves. If you'd like to read further on awareness, please see my free ebooks on astrologyland.com. Look for the book link in the middle of the page. My name is Michael Erlewine, and I curate what is probably the largest library of astrology in the world, the Heart Center Library. I hope you have enjoyed this segment of Spirit Grooves, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.